Hello everybody, welcome back to Wolfeei Extras. Today we're going to be looking at an idea from my friend Gummy Roms. His name's Keegan. Also, I will be live doing final predictions because a lot has changed. We have a lot more info to work with. That is not a real team, but I wish it was. Anyways, this is Keegan Gummy Roms. He is known for MCC Island is so much fun. Anyways, here is his idea. So the idea is to make MCC teams based on eras of Minecraft. And I've made 10 teams, one of which is not actually consistent of MCC players, but we'll get to that. I will go through this a little bit quicker because I have already recorded this before and I forgot to plug my Twitch at the start, I think. So yeah, here we go. First off, very OG. This is the start, like the start of Minecraft. And I think these are some good representatives for that. Captain Sparkle's obviously probably the most iconic Minecraft YouTuber by name. Not necessarily by sub count, by size, whatever. By name, I would say Captain Sparkles is kind of the number one. You got Ant Venom, obviously, because of the rivalry with Jordan. And then you got DanTDM, who I used to watch personally as a kid for the most part. While growing up, I used to watch Jordan as well. And IS Cupquake, who I think makes a lot of sense to be there too. So that's the very OG part. Then you've got OG Part 2. I don't really know how to classify this, but I remember going from watching Jordan and Dan to watching Lizzie. So there has to be a transition there somewhere. Either way, this is OG Part 2. No clue if this is entirely accurate, but I put Scott, Shelby, Lizzie, and Joey Graceffa, which, for all I know, could be an MCC Pride team. It makes sense. It works. So that's that one. Next up, The Pack. No clue if The Pack actually was after this, but I recall going from watching Lizzie to watching Pizza Hut. So not sure like what the trend is, what the like timeline is, but that just makes sense to me. It's Pete, Vic, Preston, Jerome. Pete's not in The Pack, but he's very, very good friends with The Pack. And the rest are all in The Pack. Next up, UHC. Now this one is a little controversial because UHC is so broad as like a thing that people did. It's still around, but it just has very different people in it. The timeline for UHC is very large. There's also, I mean, there's like Cube SMP or something. There's United UHC, which for me was pretty big. That's the one I used to watch. And this is kind of just some people that were involved around my time for watching UHC. So there's probably some OGs missing potentially, but this is Exnostorio, Tapple, Grazer10, and Sneaksnag. Sneak, I think, might be I don't remember how long he's been around at the UHC days, but I know he's been around, so I think this is probably a fine placement for him. But yeah, next up, early Hypixel. Slightly controversial as well, because early is a little loose of a term. I don't know how early you would consider early Hypixel, but this is for me when I think Hypixel started, which is when Hypixel was starting to overtake Mineplex, or at least almost overtook it, or even overtook it. That is early Hypixel for me, at least in content creation. Obviously, Techno has to be there. He is the Hypixel person, and he's been around for a long time, so it makes sense. Fruit is there, who I also think he could be in the UHC category. Same with Harvey. Also, disclaimer. I forgot. I did this in the last one. Disclaimer: these teams are not balanced. That's number one. Number two, this is based on my experience with watching content creation. Some of these may be out of order in the timeline. That's two. Number three, some people belong in multiple of the categories. So this is just my picks, and then you could swap them if you want. Anyways, so yeah, Fruit could be in the UHC category. I personally discovered him in early Hypixel days. So yeah, that's that. Skeppy, I think, fits in this category, not necessarily because he was very active on Hypixel as well, but he mainly did other content, but it was around the same time. And then Spyfy, I know, was pretty big on Hypixel as well. So yeah, I think that makes sense. Next up, Hermitcraft. Disclaimer: this is based on Grian. Grian's the main Hermitcraft guy I watched, at least when I was younger. And that's why this is where Hermitcraft is. I know it's been around for a long time, but Grian apparently joined in like season 6. I don't remember exactly what the... Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it said on the wiki. So that's where it's placed. Grian, Good Times with Scar, Iskal, and Beetle Blow. which I think is a fine selection of 4. I think if you were to go outside of MCC, you would probably put Mumbo Jumbo here. Apparently Tango Tech is also pretty large, so you could put them both on the team instead of like Iskal and B-Dubs maybe. But yeah, that's the Hermitcraft team. Next up, SMP Live / Minecraft Monday. Also, another disclaimer, this is not based on Minecraft Monday at all. This is just an SMP Live team, and then I realized that some people may know it as the Minecraft Monday era, because it's literally like at the same time. I'm pretty sure Minecraft Monday happened like a week or 2 after SMP Live, or something like that. The wikis say that. I don't know if it's actually true. Either way, I also think you can kind of include SMP Earth around this time. I think it was slightly after, but might have been slightly around that same time. You got Filza, you got Wilbur, you got Slimesicle, and you got Connor Eats Pants. Filza, Wilbur, I think makes sense. That's kind of where they like popped off around that time. Phil, obviously, for a different reason, but it's around that time that they popped off. Slimesicle apparently was part of the original group for SMP Live, like the very, very start. And then Connor Eats Pants, for me, is one of the most iconic SMP Live guys. Obviously, he's a variety creator, but I think around SMP Live is when I discovered him. And he's great. I like Connor a lot, so yeah, very cool. Next up, Late Hypixel. This is also, again, slightly controversial because some of these people definitely also belong in other categories, but I think this makes a lot of sense. Tommy Innit made his big boom in the late Hypixel era, slightly before Skyblock, around the SMP Live, Minecraft Monday, SMP Earth type era. I think SMP Earth might have been later, because Skyblock is where Tommy really started to pop off. And then I think SMP Earth came after. I could be wrong. It's like around the same time. Hannah, because even though she could belong in the UHC category, because she's been around for a long time, I think her main blow-up moments came in late Hypixel, like Bed Wars type stuff, obviously. Calvin, I think, also could belong in UHC and early Hypixel, etc. type era, but I think he also started to grow a bit more in the late Hypixel era, which I think was with like RLcraft. And then Purpled, who I had to think of like the Bed Wars representative, because this team was originally a team of 3, and I think Purpled is the most iconic that is currently in MCC, so there you go. Next up, you got Dream SMP. This was, yet again, controversial because there's a lot of members, and some people may have different perspectives on who were the most iconic, most influential people that have not been put on teams yet, at least for Dream SMP. I think Dream obviously makes sense. He's the main guy for that time. Obviously, he has been around for a longer time, but I think Dream SMP is like the main moment, like the big moment. Rambo, I think, is one of the best ads, I think, when it came to Dream SMP, one of the biggest influential moments. Obviously, he just took over TikTok, and then for some reason, people just latched onto him, which I think is great for him. That's cool. So yeah, he just made really big waves, and I think he deserves to be in the Dream SMP top 4, at least for this. Next up, Quackity. Quackity's also been around for a very, very long time. I used to watch him, I started watching him SMP Live type thing, as a Minecraft Monday era, like 5 years ago, or however long it's been. But I think his main Minecraft moments have also been Dream SMP. You could argue nowadays QSMP is larger, which I think technically, numbers-wise, no, but influence-wise, yes. But or Dream SMP or QSMP is not an era yet. I think it's too early to consider that like a whole big era. Dream SMP makes more sense. He pulled like 300,000 live viewers on streams, which is ridiculous, on like a lower stream or whatever. And then I have Foolish as the last one. I think Foolish makes a lot of sense. He may not be the guy that a lot of people look at as like one of the most influential, but I think it makes a lot of sense because it was similar to Rambo, except even smaller. And I would say now he is like up to par basically when it comes to, or even maybe further than Rambo when it comes to like having himself be an established creator. I think he's really big, and yeah, I think he's done a really good job at making good use of his success. I think he's done a good job. And then finally is the Pink team, which, disclaimer, has 4 newcomers, also probably extremely broken. You got the New Age, which I think is also a little early to call, but I think it doesn't make sense to put Dream SMP as the last era, and I also don't think Outsiders are Outsiders. I mean, that's also a small era, but was it Origins? I don't think Origins SMP is really a good era to categorize into its own, especially considering that a lot of the Origins players have already been put on teams. So I think, realistically, New Age, for the main part, it's YouTube. It's actually it's basically only YouTube. You got Rec from Lifesteal. I think he's a good person to put as the Lifesteal rep. He is very good. So it's, you know, in actual MCC, as much as I think he would be a really good ad, he is just very good. You got Misty. Misty, obviously, I'm slightly biased, but I do think, realistically speaking, it is very fair to consider Misty one of the main New Age Minecraft YouTubers. Misty made a huge influence, got covered by news stories or whatever. It's something like that. Made very big impact on Minecraft and has done a lot of things that other people have not yet done. So that's cool. Cameron, I think, is a good representation of shorts creators. I think he might be the biggest, I could be wrong, or one of the biggest, who at least makes shorts about him. I think it makes sense to put him in. He's very well known, very influential when it comes to YouTube shorts. I think he's a very well known name. And then A Cookie God, I'm personally not too familiar with, but from what I've heard and what I've seen, he is very big and makes a lot of waves on YouTube. And yeah, that's why he is on the team. Which team do you think would win? I mean, these aren't balanced, obviously, because that's not the point. But which team do you think would win? Which era is the strongest? I think there's some that are broken, to say the least. Sorry. I think early Hypixel is obviously insane. UHC era is pretty crazy strong. Late Hypixel is very strong. Dream SMP is very strong, and New Age is very strong. You can. I mean, the pack is also very good, but you can tell that there's a very interesting trend. You've got it's more for fun, not very super high skilled Minecraft players. Then you've got 3 blocks of very high skill, at least I would say, or mostly pretty high skill. Then you've got 2 more blocks of more for fun, not very high skill, and then 3 more blocks of high skill, whatever type players. Can we see the next 2 ages after the New Age be more for fun? I'd be down for it. I would vouch. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this idea. What do you think? That's my desktop. Oh, here we go. All right. What do you think? I think it's pretty awesome. Also, here's my prediction, my manifestation for Pink Team. Make it happen, please. Ludwig Ogren, Jaden Animations, Pokimane Iman Anis, or whatever her name is, and then Alpharad Jacob Alpharad. Please. Alright, thank you all for watching. I'll see you later. Goodbye.